Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
It's so embarrassing. It really is. The fact that you look at this payroll with an expanded playoff format and you still don't make it and you get swept in your last 3-game series and what you needed to happen actually happened. The Brewers lose, the Giants lose, and the Phillies get shut out. I mean, it's honestly a disgrace. What bothers me is it almost looked like they went to the ballpark thinking, well, this is it. This is the last game. They got shut out. How do you not produce more offensively? Aaron Nola, I've been ripping you to shreds over the last handful of games, and guess what? You deserve to get ripped even more because that performance was honestly terrible. It was awful. A must-win game, and you go 3 2/3, and your command is off, and you're walking batters. That is flat-out disgraceful, in my opinion, when it comes to Aaron Nola. This is supposed to be your guy. This is supposed to be your ace, and he failed. He was not good enough. Now, I don't want to hear about, well, there was no offensive production. I get that, okay? I understand how baseball works. You're not going to win any games if you score 0 runs, but that doesn't really take away from what Aaron Nola did. Both can be true. You can't win a game with 0 runs, and Aaron Nola sucked. And I just wanted to see Aaron Nola not suck in a meaningful September game. There's a reason why I continue to bring up his ERA. That's over 4.2 in the month of September. There is something to that. And he's not good in those moments. And you need a starting pitcher who is going to be good in those moments. If he went 8 innings, struck out 10, allowed 1 earned run, this is a totally different conversation. But 3 2/3 couldn't even get out of the 4th inning? Dude, come on. Now, we are broadcasting live from the Manscaped Man Cave. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BROD at manscaped.com. I had to take a couple hours off in between recording the Eagles breakdown against the Cincinnati Bengals and this one. Both games were on Sunday afternoon. Eagles at 1 o'clock, of course, and the Phillies started at 3. But I need a little bit of breathing room because I couldn't comprehend what the hell Doug Peterson did, and I just needed to take a couple deep breaths before attacking this podcast. But I am so disappointed, so upset with this team. Not that I had expectations, even if they slipped into the postseason. Of course not. They were a horrendous team. Their bullpen was miserable all season long. But still, it's postseason baseball. I would like to see them in it. If the alternative is, hey, they're in it or they're not in it, I want them to be in it. And I would have to imagine at that point that John Middleton can realize, and I can hope that he has eyeballs that work, and he would know and he would understand that this team needed a shakeup regardless of if they slipped in or not. So for the argument of, I want Matt Klentak fired, you would have to imagine that even if they slipped into that postseason, that Matt Klentak would know. That John Middleton would know that there needed to be change. Now, I saw a statistic. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. I believe it was Jason Stark. Let's look this bad boy up. Here it is. You ready for this? It's about the historic bullpen. The numbers are ridiculous. Well, here's a couple of them. I mean, he was spitting at them all game long. The Phillies, 3 games under 500, have now scored first in 41 of their 59 games. The Dodgers, 25 games over 500, have scored first in 39. Records, 30-9 and 21-20 when scoring first. Ridiculous. Where was this actual stat, though? Aha! Found it. It was Todd Zalecki. Phillies bullpen finished with a 7.06 ERA, second highest bullpen ERA since earned runs were tracked in 1912-1913, according to Elias Sports. The first worst, I guess the worst, 8.16, which was the 1930 Phillies. Next up, 7.06, which was the 2020 Phillies. So I bring that up because after doing all this and looking it up and trying to get the information, I bring that all up because it's pretty damn simple. Regardless on if they made the playoffs or not, John Middleton would need to make moves. And I expect this to happen quickly. There's no reason for this to drag on. Oh, we're keeping Macklin Tech. No. It's pretty damn simple. You fire his ass. You fire his bitch ass along with Andy McPhail. He should no longer be associated with this franchise. The fact that they haven't made the postseason since what? 2011? Give me a break. Really? Give me a damn break. That's pathetic. How does that not keep you up at night? You know, in this last game, there was one opportunity offensively. That was when Phil Gosselin had bases juiced. It was a 3-1 count. He gets a check swing. I thought he didn't go. It was going to be a walk, but the umpire at first base goes, oh, yeah, he went. I was a little pissed off at the time, and it ends up resulting in a ground out where Gosselin's so mad at himself, he chucks his helmet at the ground. You got to execute there. It's that simple. You need to produce runs. It's a 3-0 game at that point. Raise her up. You need to get runs across home plate. You got to make the most of these opportunities, and you need to hit the damn baseball in an area that will do that for this team. So that was about it. And in game 2, I never really got to discuss it. Zack Wheeler went out on the bump. He went 7 innings. He did throw a ton of pitches. I think he finished with 118. Yes, he did. He walked 4, though, and allowed 4 earned runs. Joe Girardi tested him, allowed him to go deep, allowed him to go, a lot when it came to a pitch count. But there was a 5th inning that I couldn't support. Bad 5th inning for Zack Wheeler. You can't have a bad 5th inning in those moments. And you might think I'm going crazy. You might think I'm being too harsh on these pitchers because ultimately there's a bigger reason this team hasn't been successful all season long. I know that. If you take away just half of their blown saves, which would still give them a significant amount of blown saves, by the way, they would be over the Miami Marlins. They would be in a playoff spot comfortably, so it's a totally different scenario. I know the bullpen is atrocious, but still, when it comes down to Zack Wheeler and Aaron Nola in must-win situations, I would say that they didn't really get their job done. I could totally destroy Aaron Nola way more than Zack Wheeler. But still, 4 earned runs, a bad 5th inning, 4 walks. He had a decent amount of strikeouts. He went 7 innings. I mean, you go 7 innings as a starting pitcher, you clearly do your job. But I can't get over that 5th inning. You knew that bullpen was bad. You knew there wasn't much wiggle room. And he did go with 7. And Connor Brogdon came in the 8th and bang, 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 getting strikeouts. It seems like he's definitely going to be a piece for the future, and I thought that he was always going to be. I just assumed that maybe it was too soon for him, and you saw him struggle early on. Once he returned, he came back to be a factor. I could still nitpick a bit with Zack Wheeler, though, and go, well, you did need to be better because it wasn't good enough. And the argument in that game, it should have been 4-4 because Andrew McCutchen hit a triple, but the ball snuck underneath of the padding out there in the outfield, and they ruled it a double, and then he ended up getting thrown out at home, so the hit would have knocked him in from third base, obviously. He had to go from second base, cannon from center field. It costed the Phillies a run, but when that run is scored in that moment of the game, that changes how the entire game is played out. Now it's a different score. Now pitchers are throwing different pitches. The whole entire game changes in my eyes, so I can't say, well, it should have been 4-4 because of Andrew McCutchen. I'm not happy with the call. I thought the call was garbage, and it was obvious that it was a triple. Andrew McCutchen in Game 2 of this series was magnificent. He was all over the place, hitting a homer, getting that triple that was called a double. He was electric, without a doubt. It's just a shame that the Phillies did get robbed that run. And then there was a moment in the 7th, though, and the 7th was what irked me more, I would say. JT Realmuto up. The Phillies just produced a run, made it a 4-3 baseball game, and what do you know? Double play, JT Realmuto. Boom, boom. And they weren't able to knock in runs. You need to. You need to. You have to. If you want to win baseball games, when you have big moments, when you need that clutch hit, You need someone to step up and give you that. And you saw it in 2 moments in back-to-back games when the season was on the line. They didn't do it. Now, I expect JT Realmuto to be able to do it more so than Phil Gosselin. I feel bad. It's sort of like when we get upset that Nate Gehry is getting roasted out there at the linebacker position. Is it his fault that he's getting roasted, or is he just not good enough and it was a poor roster construction? With Phil Gosselin, I know he was a fun story at some point, and he was entertaining, and you called him Goose or Barrels or whatever the hell you wanted to give him when it came to the nickname. At the end of the day, Phil Gosselin is not good. He's not a good baseball player. Fun ride, very entertaining, ha-ha, you had some laughs, had some hits early on, constantly, right, just hitting. It was obnoxious, but he's not good. So do I get mad at him for not coming up big in that moment? At the end of the day, I still do, because he was up at the dish in that spot. So when you're at the dish, come on now. Come on now. Just really disappointing. How? How does that happen? You get swept. You just got swept. Wasn't even close. First off, you got to throw Vince Velasquez in game 1 of the series. And then you have your top dogs in back-to-back games in crucial moments. And look, Zack Wheeler and Aaron Nola, they haven't won their last handful of starts together. So come on. You have to win those games. I feel like after every one of their most recent games, I come down here, I sit here, I turn the damn camera on, I turn the microphone on, and I say the damn thing. Same damn thing. You have to win with those 2 on the bump. And this team just doesn't. In this last game, in this 5-0 shutout loss, you had Hector Neris come in the 4th, did a good job. Came in the 5th, did a good job. In the 6th, did Joe Girardi go too long with the guy? Started to get barreled up. Didn't have help defensively. Jeez, I don't know what the hell was going on in the outfield. Ball bounces in front of guys. It goes back to the wall. Embarrassing. Another problem, another issue with this baseball team. And you think about that stretch of 10 of 11 games, right? Bryce Harper spoke, and he said we need to win 9 of 10. They went on that. They did even more than that. And then you do this. You do this. I'm so glad that this isn't 162, because I don't know if I would be able to handle this mess. I will miss betting baseball, though. But now basketball, NBA Finals is in play. NFL action every Sunday, college football on Saturdays. And by the way, I've been cashing out left and right thanks to BetQL. BetQL, unbelievable. Fantastic analytics. They give you all the trends. They tell you where all the sharp money is headed, all the professional bets, and where they're putting their money at. And at this point, I just go to their app every single day before I'm about to place a bet, and I just look at all their information. I trust it, and guess what? I'm winning all the time. My wallet is fat as hell. I just keep bringing in the cash. It's beautiful. And you can use promo code BROADS20 for 20% off your first payment. All the information is in the description. We're also doing an NFL Weekly Pick'em Pool presented by BetQL. Weekly prizes. Not only that, a grand prize. A championship Sports Talk with Broads bracelet, courtesy of Rosnov Jewelers. Once again, all the information is down below. I want to get to a cut from Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper said something after the game that I thought was very interesting. So let's take a listen here.
JT Realmuto needs to be our catcher next year. Plain and simple. I mean, he's the best catcher in baseball. He's the best hitting catcher in baseball. Our guys love to throw to him. If that's Wheeler, if that's Nola, if that's anybody. I mean, anybody that is the best at their position, hitting and fielding, needs to be signed, and that is JT Realmuto. And I don't think that should even be a question or anything, because there's going to be 2 teams or 3 teams in the NL East that are going to go after that guy. And if that happens, I mean, that's going to be tough. Tough to get. But JT Realmuto is the best catcher in baseball. He's the best hitting catcher in baseball. Our guys love to throw to him. If that's Wheeler, if that's Nola, if that's anybody. I mean, anybody that is the best at their position, hitting and fielding, needs to be signed, and that is JT Realmuto. And if that happens, I mean, that's going to be tough
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And I was very vocal about Bryce Harper all season long, doing the signing of the check and being very vocal about things. And in the beginning of the process, I thought it was annoying. I thought it was an issue, and I thought, listen, Bryce, you let the front office handle their business. You do you take care of the field stuff. And then as it continued to go on, I thought this front office is abysmal, and I can't believe they haven't even had any conversations with the guy. Once that news broke, it was on another level of, what is happening here? Even if they didn't plan on signing him back, you don't just leave him out in the dust and not speak to him. That's just a ridiculous organization. That's not how solid franchises are ran. Just solid businesses. It doesn't even need to be sports, but you need to communicate with individuals that work underneath of you so you can have context and see exactly where everybody is at and what page they are on. So to not even talk, that was the report that we heard at some point throughout the season. That really blew my mind. Bryce Harper, though, I'm sure he's looking at his contract and this front office right now, which is a mess, thinking, what the hell did I just do? What the hell did I get myself into? Now they're questioning bringing back or not bringing back JT Realmuto after trading Sixto Sanchez? That's embarrassing. So you know what? You might overpay for him. You might have to overpay for him, but you need to bring this guy back just to keep Bryce Harper happy. And I know that might sound ridiculous, right? You don't make that type of decision to keep Bryce Harper happy. You can't lose him this early. And with the direction of this franchise, what is it? The fact that we don't even know. They don't have prospects. They have no prospects that we're waiting for. You got Alec Bohm. Tremendous. Hitting over 300, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Doesn't matter. Men on base, no men on base. Doesn't matter. Using the whole field. Alec Bohm, great story. But there's no direction for this team, especially if you allow JT Realmuto to walk. If they have a plan where JT Realmuto isn't signed here, they get a real catcher, not Andrew Knapp, even though Andrew Knapp had this nice season. He's a backup catcher, and after this season, I can live with him being your backup. But you need a legit starting catcher, and if you use that money in other areas to help out this team in other ways, then the conversation changes. But I don't trust them doing that. If they do that, okay, I'm on board. I don't feel like they are properly going to do that. And that's when I need to look at John Middleton and whoever he hires and goes, you need to make sure JT Realmuto is here and you still help this baseball team out in terms of getting talent. It's your fault that Matt Klentak spent all that money and gave you this type of production. That's on you for allowing Matt Klentak to do that. And you can't be satisfied with just going through this again. You said to us you want the damn trophy back. So with that being said, you better match your words with your execution, with your actions, or you're going to start to get shredded. I think it's pretty damn clear now that there is some hostility involved with the Phillies. You know, they fly under the radar. You don't really hear about them sometimes because the Eagles come around during the final stretch of the Phillies season and the Sixers are more popular. Right? Like, the Phillies, they just slide underneath the radar at times. You sign Bryce Harper. Aaron Nola steps up a bit in terms of, being, he had the Cy Young year, and I'm mad at him, don't get me wrong. But he's a pitcher that's must-watch when he's on and when it's his day. So, with Aaron Nola in the mix, signing Zack Wheeler, you now have names where Phillies fans are watching. You have us intrigued. So, now that you have us intrigued and engaged a bit, when you piss yourself, when you shit yourself, now it's different. And now you're under the microscope. So I bring this up because I feel now this organization is in an entirely different spot. They are starting to get heavily criticized, and we demand a change. We demand more. And you can't continue to go down this road. Now, I hate the Gabe Kapler, Joe Girardi thing. I didn't like Gabe Kapler, but I knew Gabe Kapler wasn't the reason why the Phillies weren't good. The Phillies weren't good because the talent wasn't there. But that doesn't mean that getting a new manager isn't beneficial. With a good roster, I would like Joe Girardi over Gabe Kapler. It's just that simple. And they failed to make the playoffs as well. But just the fact that it was even close, shame on the Phillies organization as a whole for it even being close, because that's embarrassing. I can't believe it. Everything you needed to happen happened. All you needed to do was win one more game during that disgusting stretch that they just went on in late September. One more game. Just one more game. One! And they lose, and they lose, and they lose, and they get swept. They had to win one of two. Imagine heading into this Tampa Bay series going and knowing you just needed to win one. One of three. One of three. And they couldn't do it. And they looked lifeless. I think that's the worst part. They arrived to the ballpark thinking, this season's done. I can't wait for this game to be over so I can go home to my family, hang out with them, go home to my wife, relax, hang out with the kids. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to want to hang out with your kids, but when you're fighting for a playoff spot, yeah, that's not the time to do that. And I just feel it's human nature after watching your bullpen explode every single night in historic fashion, may I add, that it takes a toll on you. And you just know. And you feel defeated. And the clubhouse is deflated. And the organization is deflated. And that's realistically how I feel it went down. It just wore on everybody. Because you knew, like, this bullpen is trash. This bullpen can't get anything done. You can't do a damn thing. So, blown save after blown save after blown save, and not even blown saves, but taking the lead early, losing the lead, and then just getting blown out. It gets old. And it just kills you inside. But once again, that's not an excuse. Because you got to win games. And it was right there. That's why it's even worse. It was right there on a platter. Once again, they would have got absolutely crushed in the first round. Crushed! It would have been awful! But still, it's better than nothing. It's better than no baseball. Now I just question, when are the moves coming? And what are the moves going to be? And how many people are getting fired? And it's not just the GM. How about the philosophy as a whole when it comes to development in the minor leagues? The starting pitching, it's been awful from an organizational standpoint for decades. I like Alec Boehm. All right. You need more than that. You got the Braves getting Acuna Jr. You're getting Juan Soto out of the Nationals. Ian Anderson going back to the Braves. And by the way, you picked Mickey Moniak that year, number 1 overall. And I like Alec Boehm, but it's clear it's not enough. Whatever they've been doing over the last however many years from an organizational standpoint, whatever their philosophy is developing these players, it's not good. Except Sixto Sanchez. You get Sixto Sanchez, you give him away. The one guy, you give him away. You give him away, and then you're going to let the guy walk. We're not done talking Phillies baseball just because the season is over. I'm working on a couple things, so be on the lookout. This episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power, and with over 20 years of experience in the industry, they are home to your solar experts. Not only do they provide solar, but they also provide water purification systems, clean, healthy, soft water for your family, backup energy services, battery storage, tree removals, electrical upgrades, and plenty more. Their information is down below in the description. This team managed to put 162 games into 60 somehow, in terms of pain, in terms of suffer, in terms of not being able to handle this as a fan, going through this every single night. Somehow they managed 162 of pain into 60 games. That's very, very hard to do. The Brewers made the playoffs. Tell me how that's possible. The Brewers actually made the damn playoffs. Their record stinks. They're not good. I want the Phillies to be the not good team that made it. I wanted the Phillies to be the team that stinks who made it. You know, the fact that they're even involved, it is pretty bad from a league perspective. And I hope they don't continue down this road, but something tells me they're going to continue down this road because guess what? It generates more money in these markets when more teams make the postseason. But it makes the league a joke because none of these teams, the Giants, the Brewers, the Phillies, they shouldn't even be in talks. They all had a chance and none of them wanted it. Imagine that. None of them took it. Playoff teams don't do that. Where do they go from here? What is their identity? That's a great question. And I'm sure it'll be brought up soon enough. Thank you all so much, and I will see you next time.